Welcome everybody to part two of the DevOps Path video. I want to remind you that this is part two, and I want to remind you that this is one man's opinion. If you have a better path that you would rather follow, please follow that. This is just my advice. Also, you don't have to know all of these things. Nobody does. You also don't have to be expert at any of these things. You just have to be good at it, or in some cases, just be familiar with it. So when I left off the first part, I finished talking about Unix or Linux. Then you have to know some basic networking to be a DevOps engineer. For example, how to ping something, how to run the netstat command to see what's connected, how to troubleshoot connection between machines, or what is a VPC, or what is a subnet? How do you get around between VPCs? What is a routing table? How do you run trace route to figure out what the problem you might have between two hosts? How does your browser get to the internet and bring it back you the content on the browser? How does the whole flow works? What is the TCP/IP OSI? What is the OSI layers? What is TCP/IP and what does that fit into the OSI layer? And why do the layers even exist? So some basics of networking you should know. Otherwise, you're not going to look good in an interview and you're not going to get the job. Again, you don't have to be an expert, just the basics. So that's number five. Number six is Git. Git is where developers store their code. Git is where DevOps people store their code. So you have to know the basics of Git. For example, how to create a repo, how to check out a branch, how to create a new branch, how to add files to your branch, how to put commits, these are all 5-minute things, by the way. How to send a pull request, how to approve a pull request, and so on and so forth. So I would spend maybe 2-3 hours just playing with Git, just so you get familiar with these steps, because that's how you would write code in real life, and that's how you would push your code to the master branch and whatnot. Let me see how much time I have plenty of time. All right, so that was Git. Number six, VS Code. You should spend maybe half an hour to an hour just getting familiar with the VS Code. It's a Microsoft product, free product. You can download onto your Windows or your Mac and just play around, write some code, maybe commit your code from VS Code using a terminal to Git repo, something of the nature. Just get a feel for whatever your favorite language is. If it's Python or what have you, or YAML, you write some code in VS Code and get a feel for it. You don't have to be expert at VS Code by any means whatsoever. Just spend maybe half an hour to an hour on VS Code just to get a feel for what this is all about, because a lot of the DevOps and developers use this platform to write their code. All right, let's see how much time I got. Minute and a half. All right, so with that, then we move to a little bit more advanced topics like Terraform. Terraform is a tool, free tool, where you can write code to deploy infrastructure in the cloud. Remember, we talked about the cloud here. This will take some time. You would want to spend, depending on how intense you are and how good you want to spend somewhere between maybe a week or two learning Terraform. Uh, this will go a long way, because another name for Terraform is infrastructure as code. And in any DevOps SRE job, you would be writing code to deploy infrastructure in the cloud, and Terraform will probably be the tool you'd be using to write those code. So people will be asking you somewhat detailed question about Terraform during the interview. All right, I have 1 minute left. So let's do one more topic. After Terraform, you should learn something like a CI/CD tool like Jenkins. There are many tools available. Google has their own Google Cloud Build. Amazon has, AWS has their own. There are other ones like Circle CI. You pick one. I would pick Jenkins just because it's the most common one used even today. But again, you don't have to be an expert. Just know enough to get around. That's all you would be expected to know. Even today, I don't know a whole lot of Jenkins. I always struggle with it. So just so you know. All right, I will stop here. I will do a third video on this series to talk about the rest of the topics. I will see you in the third video of this one.